Hi, everyone. This is Mayor Nic Hunter, and recording this on Thursday, September the 24th. I'm very honored to have Louisiana's Commissioner of Insurance, Jim Donelon, with me today, and wanted to impart some information to locals and also offer an exciting announcement that I think will be very beneficial for locals. Commissioner, thank you for joining me today.
Glad to be with you, Mr. Mayor.
Let's start out with just a little about your office, the Louisiana Department of Insurance. What do you do? What does the Commissioner of Insurance do?
We regulate all forms of insurance, with the exception of those things that the federal government regulates, such as the National Flood Insurance Program, such as Medicare. Those things have been preempted from state regulation by Congress in creating those programs and setting up the rules and regulation. Everything else falls under us. Property insurance, auto insurance, long-term care, life, health, all of that falls, travel insurance, all forms of insurance are under our regulation. But we are limited in our regulation to what the legislature puts in place as the rules applicable to that private business that is insurance in all 50 states. I'm one of 12 elected insurance commissioners. The rest are generally appointed by the governor and are members of the governor's cabinet.
And how long have you been insurance commissioner?
15 years. At the end of this term, I'll be the longest serving in our state's history.
So you came in right after or before?
Right after.
Katrina?
Right after. Rita and Katrina in 2000. I actually took office in February of '06 after those hurricanes in September of '05.
So over 15 years, you've seen a lot of disasters for the state of Louisiana. Obviously, with what we're going through right now in Lake Charles, this is going to be another one of those moments in time where people are really getting probably a big wake-up call as to what their policies actually say. What are some of the most frequently asked questions that your office is receiving right now from Southwest Louisiana policyholders? Well,
I spoke to one of your constituents this afternoon, and actually he was an acquaintance. He lives in Westlake, and said to give my regards to you. And his complaint was the most often heard, and that is, who put these named storm, hurricane, or wind and hail deductibles in the policies? And the answer is the companies do, because unless the legislature prohibits them from doing something, they are private businesses competing with each other. And we have a very competitive homeowners market to benefit consumers, because actually, although I'm a regulator, the best way to protect consumers is through competition in our system. And companies sell different policies for different prices. And what he and others have complained about is they were unaware of the fact that their homeowners policy came with a hurricane or named storm deductible of 2 to 5%, typically, not of the damage caused by the hurricane or named storm, but of your insured value. In his case, he has a 5% named storm deductible on a $200,000 insured home, meaning out of pocket $10,000 before his $20,000 of damage is covered for the second half of that $20,000. Those named storm or hurricane deductibles were not pervasive in '05 when Rita and Katrina came our way, but they were not uncommon. My wife called when she was handling our claim and our pine tree fell on our house and said, "Jim, do you know we have a 2% named storm or hurricane, whichever, in our policy?" And I said, "I did not, but our neighbor is our agent. He explained it to me, offered a lower premium for that named storm deductible, and it fit with my philosophy and was not surprising to me that I would accept it." Citizens, at the time our third largest property insurer, behind only State Farm and Allstate, also had and still has a 2% named storm deductible. But Allstate and State Farm in recent years, 3-4 years ago, went from 2% to 5%. And now State Farm a couple of years ago offered to let you buy that back down to 2% at a higher premium. The legislature, after Rita and Katrina, in their special session, when they did a very important reform, a statewide building code. Lake Charles probably had its own building code when that was passed. Most of the cities, the urban and suburban areas of the state did. But most of our parishes, in rural areas in particular, did not. That was a big improvement. They also, in that session, put a requirement that any insurer with a named storm, hurricane, or wind and hail deductible had to show it in a larger font on the deck page that comes as a cover to your homeowner's policy. And in fact, not only did they mandate disclosing it in larger font, they also required that they do the math to calculate and show how much that named storm deductible is. But truthfully, Mr. Mayor, people are so busy in their workaday lives, their families, their obligations, that they don't even read the deck page thoroughly to know. I make a tour of the state every year at the beginning of hurricane season, and that's my number one talking point to consumers as we head into another hurricane season. Be aware of that. Get with your agent. Do a checkup of all your coverages with a focus on what your coverage is and is not, such as a named storm or hurricane deductible.
I think it's been a major wake-up call for a lot of people, and I'll even pull back the curtain a little bit on the Hunter household and say that when I first had that conversation with my agent, it was a pretty big punch in the gut when I realized that I had a 5% hurricane deductible. And so I know there's a lot of people that are having those questions right now. So let's talk about that. Your office in coordination with the city of Lake Charles, thank you. I am so honored that y'all reached out and discussed with us an option for locals who have questions about their policies or want to talk with your office, but want to sit down with someone face to face. I think it's a very exciting announcement that we're making, and I'll let you talk about it. Open a resource center here in Lake Charles.
We will be coming Monday through Friday of next week from 10 a.m. in the morning to 4 p.m. in the afternoon to the Henry Heights Community Recreation Center at 801 East School Street there in Lake Charles with two of our consumer consultants, consumer advisors that do that on a year-round basis, manning the phones and the computers here in our office, fielding consumer complaints, questions, etc., about all forms of insurance, but they will be there in the community rec center, taking those questions, handing out our handouts on tips for insurance issues, and answering questions that anyone might have about deductibles, about adjusters, about accessing a contractor, what to look for, such as the ID from an adjuster when he or she shows up at your property to adjust your claim, and what to be aware of and concerned about with regard to hiring contractors, because in every disaster, every catastrophic event like this, there are storm chasers, as we call them, who head to those areas to prey upon, in particular, elderly folks who get a big check from their insurance company, are looking for a contractor, have a hard time getting a contractor in the environment that you are faced with there in Lake Charles, and get taken advantage of with these criminals who follow such disasters. And it's not unusual. It is really, really pervasive. So those items we'll be able to discuss in detail with our folks there at the Community Rec Center all next week. And we really appreciate your making the venue available for us to do it in a safe environment with social distancing and face mask in place for those who have any questions or concerns. In addition to that, we have an 800 number, 259-5300, and a website, www.ldi, Louisiana Department of Insurance, .la.gov, where complaints can be lodged either over the phone or online with any insurance concern that people may have.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think this is wonderful. And it is one thing to get on the computer or get on the phone. Sometimes, especially with what people are going through right now, it just really means the world for them to sit down with someone. Even in a COVID world, we're being cautious about that. But to just be present with someone else is comforting for people. And I appreciate realizing that.
Absolutely. And our folks have been through this before, so they have empathy for what your constituents are going through as we speak.
Commissioner Donelon, again, I thank you for joining us today, and we appreciate the partnership.
Thank you, sir. Look forward to it.
Yes,
Bye-bye.
sir.